Yes, Honorable Lulade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Take your seats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You can have your seat, ma'am. I have seen someone from Agege. I've seen someone from Badagry. Somebody has been here from Lagos Island. And now I've also seen someone from Ikodu who just left us now. I know that Mrs. Azan is also from Ekpe Division. So I'm only saying thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So when you see people from Agege, so what does that have to do with what we are doing? Put off your light. Put off your light, Honorable Makinde.
Why now? Okay, Mr. Speaker, because you know it's in sequence, so I just want to say
what sequence are you talking about?
From the Speaker to the members, Deputy Speaker, the Majority Leader, the members from Badagry and Ekpe. So, and I can also say that I can vouch for her.
Honorable Jude, go ahead. Put on.
Okay, sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, ma, I need just clarification. Your page, your second page, please. You have, I think, Masters in Education, Social Studies, 1994, and PGD in Education, the same year. Can you, I don't understand. You graduated the same year in these two programs. Thank you.
Honorable Makinde.
Thank you.
Okay.
The Right Honorable Speaker.
Noted, sir.
Madam, I want to ask you, how fair is our educational system compared to when we're in the primary school, secondary school, then when we have the monitoring inspectors going around the schools to see the performance of the teacher and the welfare of the student? I wouldn't know how is it possible for you to reintroduce such system into our curriculum now. Thank you very much.
Did someone tell you that there's no monitoring in this way? Mrs. Azan, can you please respond to the questions?
With your kind permission and every sense of humility, I didn't get the question, please.
I'm saying that before now, you have the monitoring inspectors going around the schools to really make sure that the teachers are complying with their scheme of work and the welfare of the students. As I'm asking you, how possible can you now revive that system into the present day educational system?
It is possible, since we have the quality assurance committee going around schools and the monitoring team. It is possible to monitor the teachers and the students to ensure that they are all working towards stated goals and objectives for which the educational setup is meant for. It is possible. We can go back to the old days, and we can even do better than we used to have it because of the dynamics in education now.
There's one other question about dates.
PGD? After my first degree, I was admitted for postgraduate diploma. First degree, 1984, that was the year of admission. And 1998 was the year of completion of the first degree program. Then thereafter, I enrolled for the postgraduate diploma in education. And that I completed in 1994. That was when there was crisis in LSHA.
Well, thank you for coming. We'll get back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished guests, colleagues, having come to the end of the screening for governor's nominee, I may just move that we deactivate order 114 of the rules. Thank you, Mr.
Do
Speaker.
we really have to deactivate?
Mr. Speaker?
Do we really need to? We only accommodate and we don't have any visitor, you know.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, because strangers are definitely not allowed to participate.
Strangers
And
are
if we
gone.
deactivate,
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
so I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I write second the motion.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, next on the other paper is the House of Assembly Bill 61, slated as the business of the day. And this is a bill supported by Honorable Tajusho, Honorable Ramoti, Honorable Lade, Honorable Guyami, Honorable Adekoye, Honorable Akonde, Honorable Bello Kasumu. Mr. Speaker, the bill, Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Amendment Bill 2018. May I therefore move that this bill be read for the second time as so moved.
Who has the line? Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
Observations. Mr. Speaker, sir, with due respect, the bill was not read, sir.
Allow the motion first. If you have a counter motion, you can now move your counter motion. Yeah, go ahead, Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
Yeah, Tony Ibrahim, counter motion.
None, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Then your observation. Tony Ibrahim.
None, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, it is my honor to read for the second time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps Law 2016 for the regulations and control of neighborhood safety corps activities and for connected purposes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize for the inadvertence of the last few minutes. It was due to my excitement about the proposed amendments to this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, each time I remember that it was from your pool of ingenuity and intuitiveness that this bill was drawn from, I marvel at the wonders of God for giving you such, endowing you with such sagacity and such dexterity in bringing about ideas, policies, plans, and programs that can move our society truly forward. I congratulate Mr. Speaker. However, since this bill was promulgated to law, we will observe that there are some inhibitions and impediments that have been clogging the wheels of its progress, and there's a need for us to critically look into the bill. And the bill was recalled for consideration by the House, and we extensively deliberated on it at a retreat we held recently to consider the efficacy and desirability of the law. We observed, sir, Mr. Speaker, that the law is in need of overhauling because of operational issues that it has suffered since it became operational. Mr. Speaker, this new bill now is taking care of those inadequacies of the past. And of course, one is elated to see that there is a need, that the need to propagate the objectives of the bill and to draw me to the consciousness of the citizenry, the need to be conscious of security is now a cardinal objective clearly stated, specifically enacted in the bill, in the proposed new law. Of course, we also see that the synergy between the local governments and the safety corps is now a subject of legislation, which is now no longer avoidable. Local governments and the agency will have to work together to see that the objectives of the agency are carried out. Local government chairman, we have a nominee in the board of the agency now. Also, Mr. Speaker, we also see that because the House of Assembly did not have the opportunity to clearly consider the desirability or the fitness of some of the nominees into the board, that had one way or the other affected the quality of nomination into the board. And we need to put all hands on deck to ensure that this essential security apparatus is given the best consideration. And one is delighted that it's now coming up for consideration that the House of Assembly will have to confirm those nominees nominated by the governor of the state. Also, Mr. Speaker, very importantly, we observe in the new amendments proposed that funding of the agency will now be something that is that can call for glee, because the local government will have to specifically contribute to the funding of the agency, and also the Lagos State Security Trust Fund will have responsibility to contribute to the funding of the agency. With this, I'm sure that the agency will soar higher and the sky will be its beginning. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I urge us to give this bill accelerated consideration and pass it to law to have a more effective, more coordinated, and more service-oriented agency in the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Cause. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Leveraging what Honorable Brahma has highlighted as the proposal for amendment to the bill, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill to strengthen further the activities of the neighborhood safety corps that has really complemented the effort of the police in the state. Part of the thing, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that we add to the responsibility of the corps, the duty to create awareness and sensitize members of the public in respect of their consciousness to security and security issues. Also, Mr. Speaker, the secretary to the agency is proposed by this bill to be highly competitive in such a way that it will be advertised in National Daily, and people that are interested will be subject to proper screening to be sure that we further strengthen the issue of tenure is also reviewed in this bill, Mr. Speaker, granting the members of the board and the chairman a 5-year tenure. Mr. Speaker, also the bill proposes to look into the issue of vigilante being used as being ambiguous and changing same to vigilant group. Vigilante refers to just a registered group. These are more and more, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Rama has talked about the funding. Here also members of the corps are given the power to conduct search and also to conduct arrest of anybody committing crime or suspected to be committing crime. Mr. Speaker, if all these are added together and added to the bill, it will strengthen the bill more and strengthen safety cause in the interest of the security of the state. Mr. Speaker, I therefore recommend that we commit this bill accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Lowo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having heard Honorable Agumbiade and Honorable Raymond, all I need to say is that the law that brought Neighborhood Watch Corp into being was great enough that we could see the impact of that agency of government. However, we discovered that one of the major challenges they are facing today has to do with funding. And it is imperative that if this house could be the father of the neighborhood corps, because that law emanated from this house, and coupled with the fact that they are doing well, there is the need for us to reciprocate. And that's why we clamored for additional 10% from Security Trust Fund, so that it can meet all their requirements. We know presently they have a lot of challenges that borders on their effectiveness because they could not meet some of their requirements in terms of maybe getting gadgets that can support them. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, this bill will be more inclusive because we know that neighborhood has to do with community. And we cannot separate the local government from that community we are talking about. Hence, the need to have representative of the local government chairman on the board. I think it's a great one. Finally, sir, to avoid vacuum, because just like the bill we just passed some few days ago, security is very serious and it's a serious business. Ditto neighborhood agency. 5 years from 4 years, we allow the agency to move on without vacuum. And I think by and large, it will make policing effectively at our community level. So in the light of that, Mr. Speaker, my colleague, I will crave your indulgence to allow for this bill to have easy passage to the next committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to join Honorable Buaimo in utilizing for coming up with this bill in the first place that became law. Without having to repeat what my colleagues have also mentioned already, I would quickly like to state some sections of the proposed amendments that we need to look at and the advantages. One of them, like Honorable Lowo said, adding the 10%, but more importantly, we're requesting that the local government contribution not be donation or grant, it should be subvention. So that makes it certain, that makes it sustainable, that makes it possible for the funding of the safety corps to be more assured. Also, the reporting of the safety corps to the chairman of a local government, as the case may be, rather than it being daily, which could be too cumbersome for anybody, it's now being changed to it being weekly. This is something that is also very functional. Then adding the regulation approval law, which is necessary, it wasn't there before. Any regulation is a subsidiary law, and this House of Assembly should be part of it, so that is also being included. Then also, we're trying to change the use of executive secretary to secretary, which is more acceptable to the House. However, I would implore whichever committee is looking at this should look at other areas. There are some other areas the word executive is still being used for the secretary rather than the executive, rather than just secretary. Finally, in the amendment of the law, there is, I think it's proposal number 3, which talked about section 4.2 of the principal law is deleted and replaced. I believe what the intendment there is amended, because if you delete the entire section and you're only replacing it in section 4.2i, I'm not sure that's exactly what you want to do. So kindly look into it, because I believe what you're trying to do is to amend the present law so that 4.2i can come after the last subsection in that section. I also want to support this bill, and I urge my colleagues to do same. Thank you.
Well, this bill is hereby committed to House Committee on Information and Strategy to report back in 2 weeks. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have come to the end of the matters listed for today's proceeding. And as a result of that, may I announce to my colleagues that I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House adjourns till Monday, the 10th day of November at 12 o'clock. I so move.
Honorable Shalagua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved by the majority.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned till Monday, 10th December 2018 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.